So you're interested in learning everything there is to know about filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. Thankfully, you've come to the right place, so let's get right into it. Welcome to the Ascend Finance YouTube channel, where we help folks understand the cost and qualification for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. We actually built a free Chapter 7 calculator so you can estimate the cost, qualification, and pros and cons of filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. Now, whether you're living in a small town or a big city, the Chapter 7 calculator actually gives you specific results based on your personal information and zip code. Now, that said, today I'm going to go through a few things. First, the cost to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. Second, how to qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. Third, are your assets protected if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas? And then fourth and finally, should you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas? Now, I will say though that remember that this video is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. Now, as I'm sure you're trying to just research as much as you can right now, I'm just gonna make this short and sweet and dive into the first thing: how much it costs to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. When it comes to filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there are several factors an attorney may consider in estimating a total all-in estimate to file. To clarify though, here's what an attorney actually may look at when they're trying to determine how much they may charge someone. So first, they may look at the complexity of the case. Second, the urgency for that person to file. Third, the years of experience for that attorney. Fourth, the actual cash flow of the client. So sometimes attorneys may be a little bit more flexible if they don't have as much money to pay or the income's lower. And then 5, location. So I kind of want to further go into each one real quick so we can kind of explain them. So first, complexity of the case, right? So this generally is going to refer to whether or not you have any assets you protected when you file. So if the client ends up having assets, it may take the attorney longer to kind of get the petition ready. So for urgency to file, whether you may have to file bankruptcy within a few days or months, an attorney may charge more or less depending on how much time they have to get it ready. And then attorney's years of experience, right? So this is going to be a little bit more straightforward. So if an attorney's been filing bankruptcies for more than 10 years versus someone that just started a year ago, they may actually be able to charge a bit more, but it really depends. And then fourth, the cash flow of the individual filing. So sometimes they may charge a smaller fee as a courtesy. Still, the average fee is usually charged regardless of the client's cash flow. Now, finally, the location. So this is actually more relative state versus state, as actually some states may have an average Chapter 7 fee of, let's say, $2,000 versus another state with an average of $1,200. Okay, so before I move on to the next part about kind of qualifying for Chapter 7, if you actually want to have an estimate for the total all-in cost, you can take our free Chapter 7 calculator below. You don't even have to add an email address to see the results. The idea is it gives you the cost, pros and cons, and whether you actually may qualify for a Chapter 7. Keep in mind, if you don't want to add any contact info, you can just select none of the above at the end, and you don't even have to add an email address. All right, so now let's dive in how to actually qualify for a Chapter 7. So there's going to be 3 main factors to understand when determining your ability to file Chapter 7. Income, expenses, assets. So those are going to be the 3 things I want you to remember when trying to understand qualification. So each state is going to have most likely an income limit set for your household size. So what that's going to be considered is the means test income limit. I'll actually put the income limit for this state on the screen, but keep in mind that the means test updates every so often. So that being said, taking our free calculator that's actually in the description can be helpful, as it's actually going to be most up to date with the means test data for estimating your qualification for Chapter 7. Alrighty, so now let's talk about expenses, as the means test has a couple of parts. The first part of the means test is mainly considering your gross income versus the income limit for the household size. Now, the second part generally considers your disposable income. Sometimes individuals may fail the first part of the means test by making too much money, but sometimes pass the second part because the court finds they may not actually have enough disposable income. And so when that's the case, you may find that you can qualify for a 7 even though you make more than the income limit. Now, finally, let's talk about how assets are actually really important to the Chapter 7 decision-making process. So although having assets may not impact your qualification, it may actually impact your decision to file. Almost every state has its own exemptions that filers can use. So they may want to utilize that to protect their assets from being liquidated. Now, the main assets I'd say that individuals are mainly concerned about are their home, or their cars. So let me kind of explain how that looks like it. Now, before I dive deeper into that and how they're all treated, I just wanted to say, like, if the video has ended up being helpful, or if you think it could be, a game changer for someone you know, let's light up that like button below. It seems that YouTube tends to rank videos with more likes, and we like to think that our video can help those dealing with this kind of stressful topic. So let's make it go viral and create a positive impact. Now that we've covered how the assets may impact your Chapter 7, from a high level, let's dive into it more to explain how that all works. There are what I'll call the 2 E's that can help you estimate the risk of losing your assets when filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas. The 2 E's are going to be equity and exemptions, okay? So those are going to be the 2 E's to remember when you're trying to figure out, are my assets protected? One of the most common assets I will say that folks are mainly concerned about is losing their home. So let's use that for this example. Now, I believe at the time of this video, the estimated homestead exemption is infinite, meaning you may be able to have any sort of equity in the home and it should be protected. Now, when it comes to having multiple properties, it may get a little tricky. I'll add a link in the description of the video with more information on all that, but Texas may be one of the states here where, with a Chapter 7, assuming you qualify, your assets actually may be protected. I will say though, just to clarify, it can be helpful to speak with a local attorney. So if you want, you can just call us at 833-272-3631. Just let us know, hey, I'm from that YouTube video on bankruptcy in Texas, and I wanted to speak with someone locally. And so what we do is we just get you connected with them, or answer any questions you need, or just try to help you out that way. Now, for some reason, let's just say you've spoken to the attorney already and they're like, no, you'd lose assets. We're able to explain it. And you're like, I don't know what to do now. Well, you can look at alternative options, and I'll actually link our general debt options calculator that'll help you just understand, the cost, duration, pros and cons to, bankruptcy alternatives. Moving from assets, I want to talk about, should you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Texas? Ultimately, everyone's situation is unique and it's up to you. But if you're finding that either A, you have too much equity in a specific asset that you maybe could lose, or B, like you're just not sure whether Chapter 7 is right for you, then you can take our Chapter 7 calculator below to estimate the qualification and cost for Chapter 7. That said though, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I have enough time to fill out a calculator, nor do I really want to, you're actually welcome to give us a call at 833-272-3631, and we'll try to answer all of your questions over the phone. We'll help you understand the risk of losing assets, Chapter 7 qualification, pros and cons, and even alternatives so you can make the most informed decision. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're able to get out of debt cheaper, easier, and faster. Take care.